Alright, so with some recent One Piece chapters, people have started to get a little sick of Oda connecting every character with family ties. Like, Zoro got his whole, 10 character family tree explained in a backstory, and it connects him to Kuina, his childhood friend, and also Ryuma, who he just has nothing to do with. They're calling it nepotism piece, that's what they're calling it. And I'm gonna go ahead and do Oda's job for him. This is obviously what he intends to do. Everyone is related. Every single person in the story is in some way biologically related to everyone else. And so let's go ahead and establish how that works. The rules are existing non-blood related bonds like Ace and Luffy, or I could think of another one, but I won't. They're allowed, but we're not going to make any new ones because that makes it way too easy. I can just say something like, I don't know, Moria and Kozuki Oden were childhood friends and that counts, but that's too easy. By the way, we're only going to count up to the most recently released chapter, which is 1157. I think the last family reveal here was Blackbeard being Rox's son. That's the thing that inspired me to make this. So what we're gonna do here is just start by connecting all the Straw Hat Pirates, the main 10. So the first thing we need to establish is that every celestial dragon is related. This isn't even a theory, this is just common sense. They sent 19 people up on a rock, and it's just 800 years of inbreeding from there. Even if it was 1,000 people, that would not be enough. So this is just they have to all be related. Come on. So that brings us to 22. There's 22 named celestial dragons as of making this. And now this is kind of a stretch, but we have to start somewhere, and it kind of has to start with a stretch. But I promise it will get better from here. Don't click away just yet. It will get better. We're going to say that Judge is a distant relative of Don Quixote family. This one actually isn't that bad. There could be worse. They both have yellow hair. All the Don Quixotes seem to have yellow hair, except for one guy who was green for some reason. Judge has a conquering nature. He killed 4 kings to create the Germa Kingdom. It was crazy. We're gonna say that Homing moved to the North Blue. He could have moved anywhere in the world after he left the Red Line. He moved to the North Blue in search of distant family. That's what we're gonna say. Because someone before him did the exact same thing. He had some ancestor, maybe a grandfather, maybe a great-grandfather, who left the Don Quixote family and went to the North Blue. And so Homing was like, okay, maybe I have family there. There's 7 Vinsmokes, if you can believe it, so that brings our total to 29, which is incredible. Now I'm very proud of this next one. Shiki the Golden Lion is Vinsmoke Sora's father, and therefore Sanji's grandfather. This actually makes sense, okay? Shiki, not so far in the canon series, but in the movie Strong World, he was very fond of women, just like Sanji and his brothers. He kidnapped Nami, I think, to marry him. I didn't actually finish that movie because it's such complete ass. Sora's name means sky. This guy has the float fruit. His home archipelago was in the sky. It makes sense. I did get far enough in the movie to figure out that he has a genetic manipulation thing going on. He doesn't do it himself. All the animals in his archipelago are very strong because they're being injected with some sort of substance of some kind. Again, didn't finish. His name starts with an S and ends with an I. Something there. Brings our total to 30. Okay. This is the worst. This is the worst one. Okay. Everything from here on out is better. These 3 guys, all of their children... Hawkins is the child here. Imagine that this is Hawkins' father, who we have never seen. All of their children are big fans of the Sora Warrior of the Sea, the comic released by the world government. And so we're going to say that these guys are all Judge's cousins or brothers. We're going to say cousins. Doesn't truly matter. But it's a group of 4 males, which is like Judge's children. It's like Ichiji, Niji, Sanji, Yanji. That sort of dynamic. They're all Sora Warrior of the Sea fans. These guys are all from the North Blue. They're all fathers of powerful pirates. Again, imagine this isn't Hawkins. And then these 2 guys were both in Law's flashback, so they're already sort of connected in a sense. And that brings our total up to 37. There's 4 Trafalgar family members, 2 Diaz's, and 1 Basil. Even though Hawkins obviously must have a father and we're pretending he exists, that is not a named character that has ever been a thing. And so we're only going to count the 1 Basil, that we know of. Faust is Hawkins' childhood cat. That's technically a familial relation. This isn't relevant at all. You probably have never heard of this guy, but it's the mink on Hawkins' crew. He practices Meowgic. I just wanted to mention this guy. He's awesome. Nami could be Shamrock's daughter, right? This technically could be possible. I'm not sure why I described it as a mountain of evidence when making this. I definitely wouldn't say that. But her hair is a warm color. If Shamrock were to have a yellow-haired wife, then it would result in orange, I would imagine. This is a theory that already exists, by the way. Like, some of these theories I totally made up. Like, no one has ever thought of this in their life. This is a real theory. Someone has actually thought of this at some point, which makes it valid. This does mean that Nami and Sanji are now related after everything we've covered in this video. They don't know. It's fine. You can't blame them. Don't be in the comments saying like, oh, this makes all the relationships weird. How could they possibly know? We're all related. We all started from somewhere. If your grandparents were born in the same place that you were born, and you've ever dated someone who's also born in the same place you were born, buddy, that's your cousin. Like, just don't even think about it. He has 2 daughters, okay? He has 2. It's entirely possible, because Celestial Dragons really can just do whatever they want. And even if you don't agree with this one, it does not matter at all, because we know that Bonnie, her father has to be a Celestial Dragon, her biological father at least. And they're all related. So it doesn't really matter, and I'm not sure why I included this. That adds Bonnie, Kuma, Ginny, Connie, and Kuma's parents. We've seen both of them. Technically, the mom wasn't named, but we saw her on screen, and that was good enough for me. 47 total. Now let's look at what we have so far. We have 47 members and 2 of the Straw Hats. We're going to start working on a separate little group, and then we'll combine the 2 of them. Now this one, as I was making this, I was like, holy shit, this is just true. I've figured out the plot of One Piece. These 2 characters are siblings, okay? Monkey D. Dragon and Nico Olvia. They're both 55 years old. They've both committed crimes. I don't know why I put 2 here. Oh no, committed their lives, to rebelling against the world government. Is that not how this is spelled? There's 2 T's. There's 2 T's in committed. They both have very strong triangular noses, which Dragon's, that's interesting because it doesn't even match his father's or his son's. Dragon went straight to Ohara after its destruction. Like, there's a lot of overlap here. This picture of him is at Ohara. Like, there's something there. She was basically a member of the Revolutionary Army, about as close as you can get, because that army didn't exist at the time. And so now Group B consists of Luffy, and thus everyone related to Luffy, including Garp, Dragon, Ace, Sabo, Dadan, Sabo's whole family, Roger, Rouge, they're related to Ace. And then everyone in the Nico family, you might be thinking, all 5, what the fuck? Yeah, you probably forgot this part of Robin's flashback, but she had like an uncle and an aunt and a cousin who were all part of that flashback. That just was a thing that happened. And you might be thinking, well, you said these 2 are siblings, that means you must have at least thought of their parents, right? And you know what? I did. And you're not going to believe this. This, again, I think could truly be real. Here's the tree. We're not going to do Luffy's mom yet, and we're not going to do Robin's father yet. So, hold off on that. Kureha, this could be true. Here's the little fanfic I wrote, just to get my point across. At some point, Kureha visits Ohara to get medical textbooks. She's, I think, the smartest doctor in the world, at least after, the other guy died. God, what was his name? Chopper's, like, father... Hiruluk. After he dies, she's pretty much the smartest doctor in the world. She would go to the best medical textbooks on Earth. Only makes sense. And at some point, Garp gets sick. He's old. He's bound to get sick, especially because Roger got sick. Maybe it's contagious. And so the government, of course, sent him to the best available doctor in the world. So that's how she meets Clover, and that's how she meets Garp. And then she has a child with both of them. This could be true. And you know what? Like, she has the nose. She has the strong triangular nose that I mentioned before. It matches Dragon's a little more than it matches Olvia's. But it's a start. And upon further inspection, Garp does have that exact same nose that Dragon has. Okay, and so does Clover. Now Kureha might be twice Garp's age, but I feel like once you get to like 50 or 60, it just doesn't matter at all. Don't worry about that. And also keep in mind that Kureha was the first person... Oh shit, I've fucked it. Hang on. How did I... You'll have to forgive me. Spoilers. Was it there? No, not even close. Okay, how do we fix this, chat? We do here. We do... Nope, that was exactly where it needed to be. We do this. We zoom it back in. Now that I've given you some time to sit and think about this and truly soak in how possible this could really be, that adds to our total. We've added Clover, Kureha, Chopper, and Hiruluk, because that's pretty much a father-son relationship. Clover is Bartholomew Clapp's brother. That's Kuma's dad's name. His name was Clapp. They both have names starting with CL. They just kind of look similar. Clover looks more like baby Kuma here than he looks like Clapp, but they just have a similar sort of build to them, honestly. Both Clover and Kuma both tried to evacuate as much as they could off of their West Blue Islands during a government attack at the risk of their own lives. That is a very interesting piece of evidence, but I guess it is technically true. Kuma tried to use the pawpaw fruit to get everyone off of God Valley, which I don't think was even his home, and Clover tried to get all the books out of Ohara. I don't think I've said Ohara correctly a single time during this video. Oh, and that connects the two groups, because we had Kuma in Group A after Bonnie, and we've gotten Clover here. And so that leaves us, now that we've combined the two, we have half the Straw Hats, we have all the Celestial Dragons, including Fragolins, Donkey Hotes, we have all the North Blue Supernovas and their families, Shiki, Faust, Bonnie, why did I say Faust? By extension, Kuma, Jenny, Connie, and Clover. Now if you're enjoying this so far, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers. I don't even have 100 little subscribers. And I do have another One Piece video that I'm cooking up. I already have like halfway written, which is honestly more interesting than this one. but I'll only release it if anyone's even going to watch it. So please, it takes like 30 seconds, leave a like, leave a comment, and then if you want to see more One Piece videos, you can subscribe as well. That's up to you. We have 65 characters total. Let's keep going. Brook is the father of Manmeyer Gungo. This will be disproved pretty soon, I'm sure. As I'm speaking right now, we're about to get to God Valley in a certain Elbaf flashback, and it's probably going to show that this is not the case, but as I'm speaking, it could be true, technically. So, oh yeah, Broken Laboon. I added Laboon, that's crazy, but I guess it makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Now, next step. This could be true. This is another one that, honestly, all jokes aside, could be factually correct information. These two are both bandits from Dawn Island, and they're only 1 year apart. Like, it's common sense. I don't even know what else to tell you. Now, why would I possibly want to connect Higuma to our family? What am I possibly trying to accomplish with this? Now, you're not going to believe me, and you're going to punch a hole through your monitor, but once you see the evidence, you will unpunch a hole through your monitor because it's just insanely true. Higuma is Zoro's grandfather. Now, ignore the fact that, now that I think about it, wait, no, hold on. Pause. Okay, unpause, sorry, I was just checking the wiki. This could be true. I was worried that I messed up, but this could be true. Terra here, this is Zoro's mother. She was the daughter of a bandit from the East Blue. Higuma, if he were alive, would be 56 years old, which, while cutting it a little close, is technically old enough to be a grandfather without things being too weird. Like, he could be Zoro's grandfather. He could. He's a bandit from the East Blue. Like, it could be true. So now we have Zoro, and we have Brook, so that's 7 Straw Hats, I believe, at the moment. We only need Usopp, Frankie, and Jinbei. But this is quite easily accomplished. Cien is Judge's brother. That's why I did cousins the first time, because Cien is Judge's brother. They simply look at them, like, literally look at them. We have 82 characters so far. Now this one is going to be a little bit more explanation. Cien and Stussy, these two, at the time you can see in this image, they are an item, and they're having children together already. Now, in a recent, I don't know what it was, it might have been an SBS, it might have been something different from an SBS. Now that I think about it, it was a Fever card. And it was Queen's Fever card, and it told us that he abandoned a child in the South Blue 36 years ago. Sorry, it didn't say South Blue, that's a pretty important detail. And everyone, it said Grand Line, and everyone assumed like, oh, this is Frankie. No, Frankie's from the South Blue, it doesn't make any sense. But you know who's 36 years old? From the Grand Line? Looks like Cien, aka Queen, and is connected to Stussy, who is connected to Queen? Weevil, dude. Edward Weevil. That's what's going on with Weevil, because Weevil is obviously not Whitebeard's son. Like, it couldn't be clearer. That's what's happening. And then, while Frankie is Queen's son, that's not where he was abandoned. Because they both just have that love for cyborgisms. Let's actually, look at the evidence that I listed instead of making shit up. Already covered this. Frankie's similar to Queen. Yeah, they're cyborgs. Weevil is Stussy's daughter, that's true. He braids his hair the same way as Queen, I guess that's true, and he's also a fat ass. The Stussy clone now, part of Cypher Pole Zero, not actually, she just quit, is 36 years old. Which means that Stussy was with Mad when Frankie and Weevil were born. So we have 82 characters. We can add Stussy twice because there's 2 of her. That adds Frankie and his family, which is Iceberg, Tom, and Dan, who is Tom's brother, Shipwright, who's coding Frankie. And Weevil, which brings us to 89 whole characters. Tom is Jinbei's uncle. Like I said a couple seconds ago, they're both fat asses. Tom has a Sun Pirates tattoo, at least it sort of resembles one. Let's not zoom in, let's not fuck up the OBS thing. God, I fucked it up. If I just like zoom in a little bit. Is that it? Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Oh my god. Alright. Also, even though I just said Den is Tom's brother, Tom was 27 years old. So Oda genuinely, when he makes these random ass family connections, he has no idea what he's talking about. Like, if you saw some shit earlier in this video that's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense, you're reaching so hard, this is such a reach. Oda made 2 guys who are 27 years apart in age brothers. Like, literally, I'm just writing a better manga. You could never write a manga like I can. Anyway, that adds Jinbei and that adds S-Shark to our total. Now let's recap again, because I did forget something while making these slides and I didn't want to change all the slides. I forgot about S-Bear when I got to Kuma, so that's 92. I also forgot Whitebeard and his entire crew when I got Ace. It's a pretty large crew and he considers all of them his sons, so they all do count. Just to be simple, I'm only going to add division commanders. That gives us Whitebeard himself, Marco, Jozu, Thatch, Vista, Izo, Odin, and 10 random commanders who were not connected to anyone. Izo is the brother of Kiku, so we have Kiku. Odin was at one point a division commander, technically, which gives us the whole Kozuki family, which, as of chapter 1157, which is technically the most recent official chapter as I'm recording this video, gives us Momonosuke, Toki, Hiyori, and Sukiyaki, and no one else. And so that's the 92 we already had, 17 Whitebeards, not even counting the whole crew, only counting the division commanders, Kiku, and 4 Kozuki, just 4, which brings us to 114 characters. That's impressive. We're cooking, but we haven't even started to cook. Let's start with a small one. I just saw this panel on Twitter as I was making the slide, and I was like, yeah, I can add that. Jabra tells a stupid-ass lie in Annie's lobby. He says that Robin is his sister, who he was separated from a long time ago. I think maybe he admits to lying right after that, but I didn't actually watch the full scene, and so theoretically, he could be Robin's sister. And even if he said he lied, maybe he lied about that because he was so embarrassed about it. Now, this one could be like a stretch, but you have to consider, when I mentioned that every celestial dragon was related earlier, you probably agreed with me immediately. So what makes these guys different? Honestly, what makes them different? Because as far as we're aware, they only have one homeland. Pretty much every fishman we've ever seen, they're from Fishman Island. We've never heard of any other underwater settlements. Not a single one was mentioned during the entire Fishman Island arc. I feel like that would be a pretty relevant thing to include. It's just, there's only one. And it's the same thing, they've been down there maybe even longer than the Celestial Dragons have been up there. Because it's not like these guys, I mean, they can live on land, but it's just not a very smart thing to do. So you know what? Yeah, every fishman. So here's all the fishmen. Hang on. Arlong, Karubi, Hachanshu, Macro, not Marco, Wadatsumi, Vanderdecken the Ninth, and thus his 8 unseen predecessors. They are technically named because of Vanderdecken's name. Odie Jones, Jack, Sunbell, Barbell, those guys are probably related. Satsuki, Fisher, Tigers, Charlotte, Dechat, yeah, Charlotte, Hack, Kawamatsu, Dellinger, Big Pan, and 24 other fishmen who are named, but that I didn't even bother to write the names of. Which gives us 50 exactly, a nice clean number of fish. which is 165 total characters. This is Charlotte DeChat. If you can't tell by his name, he is the son of Charlotte Linlin, which gives us Linlin and Pound, the two known parents, 39 daughters and 45 sons, not counting DeChat twice. Don't worry, I wouldn't make that mistake ever. And then, as in-laws, technically, we have Capone Gang Beige, Aladdin, Gotti, and Pez, who is the child of Beji and not Lola. Her name is not Lola. This is Lola's twin sister, whose name I don't know. Okay. 255 entire characters. We just jumped. When we were at Jabber, we had 115. We just more than doubled it in like 2 panels. That's fine though. It's fine. This is one I truly believe with my whole heart. No jokes ever. Katakuri is Kaido's son. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. Because, like, it's the only thing that really explains how strong Katakuri is, because this guy has never had any true fighting experience in his life. He has crazy Conquerors hockey and just 0 reputation. He has to just be pure nepotism, genetics, merchant. And also the timeline works out very well. I mean, I checked the timeline. When he was born, Kaido and Linlin were together on the Rocks crew. So, hell yeah. That gives us Kaido and that gives us Yamato. We're at 257 characters. Now remember at the not the very beginning, only the very beginning, when I said that someone, a member of the Don Quixote family before homing, left to the North Blue? That man's name was Mont Blanc Noland, right? And he made up a new last name. He did. It's been done before. It's been done in not any chapter that has been officially released yet, but maybe the next chapter that gets officially released, a character could be implied to make up a new family name. Now, he has stupid hair, like a celestial dragon. His hair is just really fucking stupid. Cricket, his descendant, eventually, is blonde, as are all the other Don Quixotes except for the one green guy. Now, I don't know why I decided to actually like put any sort of research or thought into this one, but I just felt inspired. I looked up what Mont Blanc meant, and it's the highest mountain in the Alps, kind of like the Red Line in the One Piece world. And Mont Blanc is in France, which is, I think, technically disputable. It is like also part of Switzerland, I think. No, it's France and Italy, which is interesting because as I'm thinking about it, I don't know how much of a border they even really share. But I'm not great at visualizing maps. Anyway, yeah. Most of the North Blue seems to be based on France, especially the Vent Smokes. And so this is pretty good for complete bullshit. That gives us Noland, and it gives us Cricket, which is 259 characters. And now, I don't know if you've been keeping track of the Straw Hats in your head, but there's only one guy left. We got Frankie already, we got Jinbei, we got everyone else. Usopp said it himself. He looked at the Tontada and Dressrosa and he said, "I am the descendant of Mont Blanc Noland." Brother, I'm inclined to believe him. Not only because all of Usopp's theories come true eventually, not all of them, most of them. You could say that about this guy too, but most of them do come true. The one example I can think of is that he tells Kaya that one time he landed on an island and it was actually a pile of giant goldfish poop, which he just completely made up in his head. But then, later, Dory and Brogy mention that island. They're like, yeah, that's a real place that exists. And Robin attempts to, but fails, as Miss Sunday, to give the Straw Hat crew an eternal pose to that island. I think it's just called like nothing, right? mods flash out on screen. Is it called nothing? It is called Nanimonai Island, which translates to Nothing at All Island or Island of Nothingness, because it's all goldfish poop. Great. Anyway, he also, in Dressrosa, when he makes this lie about Noland, he has this helmet which looks pretty fucking stupid. If you'll recall this guy's hair. Let's resize an image. Wow, there's his hair. And that's it. That's all the Straw Hats. That adds Usopp, Yasopp, and Banjina to our total of 262. And I want to thank you for watching. If this video does well, I will, after releasing my other video that I've alluded to already, I'll make another video pretty much finishing up. Because I got all the Straw Hats, but there's still a couple Emperors, still a couple Warlords. I completely ignored the Marines entirely. I was only thinking of Pirates, and so we still have all the Admirals to get. We have Kobe, who I already have ideas for how to fit Kobe in here, and then he can lead to some other shit. I know about Habari, other members of Sword. It could truly go crazy, but that does require your support. So again, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, and thank you for watching.